So I'm back in a new vehicle. This is the 2026 Toyota Prius. It's actually the Nightshade edition, which essentially is built off the XLE platform, just has some really nice aesthetic features to make it have some blackout pieces. And this guy is actually in the really, really neat Karashi color, which is the best way to describe it, kind of a yellow, or kind of a, I guess, a honey mustard kind of color. It's a mustard color, but it actually looks really, really good, especially with the black wheels, the black accents. It looks pretty awesome. Now, of course, it brings over a lot that has to offer from the previous generation of Prius, with the more modern look, which kind of started, I think it actually really started with the Prius Prime, this specific look. But today, we're taking a peek at this guy, the 2026 Toyota Prius Nightshade. Let's get into it. Well, hey folks, welcome back to techgooch for another video review, and I guess vehicle review. This is a vehicle I've been driving for a week now. I've actually done a pretty nicely lengthy trip with it. Used almost all of the gas on that trip. And the nice thing about this is you're still looking at like that 500-mile range capacity within this hybrid vehicle. Now this has the 2-liter engine on it, and with this specific trim, you're looking at about 52 combined for your fuel economy on it, which is still awesome. It's a Prius. It's a full hybrid Prius. Now they do make this in a plug-in variant. This specific one is not that, but essentially you just can look into extending your electric range by plugging it in and recharging the battery. Pretty awesome, pretty standard, I guess is the best way to say it. But yeah, we're gonna actually pull out and go outside and take a peek from the outside, and then we'll go, obviously, our standard tour of the inside to see all the updates and what this looks like, everything outside and in. In all reality, I've really enjoyed driving this car this past week, but to be honest, every Prius I've driven, it seems like they just get more and more refined, more and more enjoyable to drive, quieter. There's just a lot to love about this one. So without further ado, without me blabbing on forever, let's jump outside. Let's take a tour of the outside of the vehicle. Okay, so here we are on the outside. Like I said, modern Toyota Prius aesthetics. It looks really good. Now, I will say this, it is fairly dusty, as you can see up there. Did get some rain, and then, of course, driving in dusty roads, and so it isn't as clean as it normally is, but then again, it's a car. It's going to get dirty. Love the look on this, and of course, like I said, Nightshade edition, so you have all the blackout pieces, all the black wheels, everything like that, black accents, and then this Karashi yellow. Now this actually is available in 3 different colors. It's in this Karashi yellow, it's a midnight black metallic, and then a wind chill pearl, which is kind of a white pearl color. I actually, out of the 3, I would choose this. This stands out. Now, of course, it's yellow, but it's got a hint of greenish into it, so it's just it's a different color yellow, which, I mean, obviously that's why they don't call it yellow, they call it Karashi, but it is a really nice color. I really like it. Of course, lots of bugs in the front, but like I said, I took this on a pretty good long trip. So let's get on the inside. Let's take a peek. All right, let's jump in here. So window controls, knee panel down here, all kind of standard stuff. This is the modern Toyota steering wheel that you probably have seen in a lot of other vehicles. Very, very similar. And of course, you have the far-reaching heads-up or driver information cluster. All right, so there it is right there. Now, the nice thing about this is, if you're going between the road and the cluster, it's real easy to bounce your eyes back and forth, which, for safety-wise, this cluster is a great location. It's perfect. You don't have to have the heads-up display that's bouncing off the windshield and kind of giving the ghost image. You can actually retain everything off of the actual driver's cluster. Now, downside is, because of how it's located with the steering wheel, depending on where you have the steering wheel set or how tall you are, this can impede on information on this. So now, the first vehicle that I saw this on was the Toyota BZ4X, the all-electric, the first all-electric Toyota, and immediately I was like, yeah, I'd get rid of that in a heartbeat. not a fan of it. You can see how long this is right here. It just seems like a lot of wasted space. I would change this as well. Personally, in my preferences, I would want this guy brought back down here, and then if you wanted the heads-up display, have that as well as an option. But how this sits in here, I'm still not a fan of it. I'm less hating on it anymore, but that's the one thing about this car that I'm not a big fan of. Then again, we come over here and a lot more to love again. So we have a really nice large infotainment screen on here with, obviously you can see the navigation on this specific one. But there is one other thing on this guy here that I wish would change, and that is how far away the volume knob is. When you're driving, you're kind of leaning back. I mean, this is where my normal reach is. I have to actually manually lean forward to reach the volume knob. Now, of course, I have it on the steering wheel. I understand that. But this, you know, up, down, up, you know, little tick thing here, I prefer the knob, and that is crazy over there. I'd put it on the left side. Small changes. But and this isn't something that I would not buy a vehicle over, no doubt. But it's something that I want to bring up. That is pretty far over. The climate controls, perfect. I love these climate controls. They're very easy to use, very easy to see. You bounce up, bounce down for temperature. It's very simple, very easy, right? We also have down here. Let me get my sunglasses out of the way. All right, so down here we have USB-C. Actual USB connection, so if you're going to use the CarPlay, it does have wireless CarPlay capability as well, and then we have the USB connection for power, just power, and of course we have our standard handy 12 volt. And then down here, this is just a spot for, you know, some gadgets, some goodies, stuff like that. That's not the wireless charger. Wireless charger is actually right here. Now I have found my iPhone 17 Pro Max with MagSafe, and you'll see it here in a second. It'll start blinking. Doesn't like MagSafe cases still, so that's still a problem with Toyota's chargers. I don't know what the heck, but it doesn't matter which direction I put it in. If I go the opposite direction, it does the same thing, which I wish that they would just get on board. Please refer to your owner's manual for more. Sorry about that. I must have bumped something, but yeah, I wish that they would update that so we can use our standard cases that come with our phone. EV modes, you know, obviously with this isn't a plug-in EV, so, you know, like basic EV range without running the engine is going to be very, very limited, but you do have that capability, traction control off. Your standard Toyota shifter, where you just, you know, drive, reverse, park. Yeah, so simple, nothing too crazy. Everybody kind of knows that if you've been in a modern Toyota. Cup holders are good. I should probably go over storage. So first, you do have your cubby here, but also if you push this forward and lift, you have a little more space down there for some other items. It's kind of your hidden convenience item. And then you do have your armrest here with an additional 2 USB-C charge ports. And of course, you do have a glove box as well. So all in all, really good storage, especially for the size vehicle this is. Toyota did a very good job on this one. Now let's go up. So this also has kind of a dual sunroof kind of area. So you have your back area back here, and then now both of these do have the shades to be able to close them, but they're just draw shades, right? It's real thin weight material, lightweight material. But it is nice and handy to easily be able to open up, get some more light in here if you want it, or if the sun's beating down on your head, you can close them real easy. One other feature before we get to the back seat, and that's going to be one of these things that they're adding in a lot of vehicles today, and that is a built-in dash cam. You do have a little micro SD card slot. So you pull this, and you put your micro SD in there, and then you can obviously store all of your dash cam footage directly out of the vehicle. You don't have to worry about adding anything. You don't have to worry about wiring anything. It's powered off your vehicle. It's built in from the factory. Awesome, awesome option. Time to go in the back seat. One thing, handle is kind of up in the upper scoop. Really nice way to keep it very aesthetically pleasing without also helping out with the aerodynamics. So there we go. Now I have the front seat back a decent ways because I do have longer legs. But even with that, I still am not actually touching the seat. Of course, I'd probably sit like this. But that said, this is not a seat that I would put 3 people in, but you technically can if you're in a pinch. That said, you're very basic, but we do have 2 USB-C charge ports down below. Outside of that, it's just window controls. if we use the armrest, we do have 2 cup holders in the armrest as well. 2 lights up top. Otherwise, very basic rear seat, nothing fancy. As for headroom, I'm 5'11". I still have a few inches above me. Of course, if you're really tall, the back seat might get a little cramped. So just kind of take that into account. Okay, so you can see XLE badging even on this guy. If we go in here, manual gate, and then we have our storage capacity back here. Underneath, some styrofoam for some additional stuff. Otherwise, pretty tight in terms of storage, but at the same time, for how small this vehicle is, it's actually got a decent amount. Let's check to see how many suitcases we can fit in here. Okay, so let's take a peek. How many can we get in there with leaving this in place to start? Let's see about changing something here. So if I swap out the really thick guy with a little bit thinner guy, a tight fit. Let's say you get with 4 in here that are smaller, then yes. And even so, you can actually still get some maybe a small bag right here. So yes, there is actually quite a bit of storage back here. Okay, one last thing we want to do is take a peek under the hood. And there is our engine compartment. Yeah, there we go. Now, like I said, I've been driving this guy for a week now. And within that week, and this is the lovely thing about being able to drive these vehicles for a week, is that I really do get a sense of, is this a vehicle that I would buy myself, that I would actually enjoy driving as a daily or a family vehicle or whichever have you. This is something that I could definitely see myself buying. Now, before I bought my previous car, I highly considered getting a plug-in Prius. And at that time, it was really, really hard to get them. So I actually didn't look. I looked into it pretty good, but I couldn't buy one anyway. So not without a long wait. So I decided against it. This would still be a vehicle, whether it's this specific hybrid version or the plug-in version, depending on where you're going to store it and how you're going to use it. But this would definitely be a vehicle that I would highly consider because it drives really, really well. It's super efficient, and you can easily go up to maybe 4 people comfortably for longer duration trips, and nobody's going to be upset that they're in the vehicle because it actually does drive really well, is not crazy loud, it's very quiet, and isn't lacking too much. So yeah, would I purchase this vehicle? This would be one of those that I would look into. So yeah, that is the 2026 Toyota Prius in the Nightshade edition. Like I said, basically an XLE with some really fancy aesthetics on the outside. Now this comes, like I said before, in 3 different colors. This Karashi mustard yellow. It also comes in a black, and then it also comes in this like pearl white color as well. All with the same black wheels, things like that. Now the white one, or that pearl color, does cost a little bit more. It's like a $495 upcharge. So just so you're aware, the vehicle itself starts about I think it's like $33,995 or something. So basically $34,000 is where it's going to start, and depending on the trim level or the color that you choose, or I should say any of the accessories that you can add on, that could change it. So as always, I highly recommend going to Toyota's website, and I will put a link at the top of the description to Toyota's website for this specific vehicle, and take a peek at it. Obviously you can price it out through there and see what it is for how you want yours tailored out. But in all reality, the beautiful thing about this is if you've driven a Prius before and you liked the drive, this drives better than the older generation Prius. It looks fantastic, has plenty of room on the interior, good cargo room, to be honest, for it as well, for the size of vehicle. This is extremely enjoyable to drive on the highway, which, yeah, it's also really enjoyable to drive in the city, but on the highway is where this thing really purrs because it's super efficient. You know you're not spending an arm and a leg driving from A to B, no matter how long of a distance that is. You have a really, really, really good range on this guy, and it's just enjoyable. Now, of course, there's a couple small things that I would change on the design of this. Of course, they're in the interior. On the exterior, I think Toyota hit a home run again on the interior, and it's the same thing that any other vehicle that has these features, specifically the heads-up display, you know, driver's information cluster. I'm not a fan of where it's placed. I understand why they have it there. It does save a little bit of money because you don't have to do two different things, but I am not the biggest fan. I prefer it a little bit lower through the steering wheel like you traditionally have it, because it's just, there's just a lot of wasted space here, and if you put your hand just right, you're not seeing the cluster, and the top of the steering wheel, depending on how you sit and where you like the steering wheel set, just isn't properly aligned, in my opinion. But that's an opinion, and I'm sure that a lot of people love this setup, but that is one thing. But of course, the big thing, the nice thing about having where it is easy just bounce between that and the road without having to look down as far, so it is actually safer. So thanks for watching to the end of this video. Like, comment, share, subscribe as always. Catch you back here on techgooch for another future video review. Hope to see you soon.